Okay, good morning. Happy Monday. It's going to be a quick live. I'm going to do another one tonight, probably much later in the evening or late afternoon. But I wanted to connect, and I won't wait a little minute. Hopefully, there'll be no issues with hearing me. I'm trying to, I'm trying to make sure that you guys can hear me well. So I'm going to wait. I know it's kind of early in the morning for some people, especially people who are working. Okay, so for many of you, you've noticed that I am doing a lot of videos on Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. Many of us are getting downloads and visitations. That's not going to make us run to the Catholic Church and get baptized. It's not what it's about. Many of us have been reading Nag Hammadi, the various Gospels, and it's the strangest thing, but we're having downloads of Yeshua, of Mary Magdalene. We're having what I'm going to call visitations. Unprovoked, unasked for, we're not chasing, and now we are chasing. We're chasing the truth. So in your meditations, during your meditations, you may have the great ones come and sit with you. It could be Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, could be Krishna, could be Radha, Rama, Sita, Shiva, Shakti. Be careful with Hecate. Be careful with Lilith. And I'm just going to say that. I've had clients play around with Hecate. It's very popular right now to play with her. And it's not something I would suggest unless you know what the fuck you're doing. In other words, if you don't know Hecate, like the back of your hand, don't do this. Okay, don't do it. Because the thing about what you guys have to understand, okay, I hope, is that when you play with deities, can you hear me? Just let me know if you can hear me. I bought this new microphone hoping it can remove outside distractive noise. So if you could be so kind, one of you say I can hear you or whatever, that'd be great. But anyway, thank you. And if you could share the live, I'd really appreciate it because quantum love language. Thank you, love that, very cool. So I'm not asking you to be afraid, okay? Clearly, I want you to be aware. It's like having sex with a lover whose name you don't know. I hope you would never do that. I hope not. I just remembered Erica Jong's what was the book she wrote that was so famous? Oh fuck, my mind just completely went blank. She wrote a very famous book of a girl that has sex with men whose name she doesn't know. So in a way, spirituality is kind of like having sex with a lover whose name you don't know. If you're going to play around with Hecate, know her name. If you're going to play around with Lilith, know her name. Understand that these hidden goddesses were hidden because they were very powerful. Okay? So for us, there are certain I don't know how to say entities. That's how I'm going to put it. I'm not going to put deities. I'm not going to call them that because I don't think that's appropriate. These are living, breathing, immortal souls, just like you. Just like you. You're living, breathing, immortal souls, obviously, right? So these are living, breathing, immortal souls of sparks of light who were fucked with. Like, for example, Medusa, right? I'm trying to remember the entire story, but it deals with, I believe, Athena. I believe I'm correct. Athena is jealous of Medusa's beauty, and one of the gods wants to fuck her. And she's so jealous that she turns this beautiful Medusa woman into the Medusa, the woman with the snakes on her head. When you look at Durga, the goddess of creation and destruction, she's got skulls around her neck, right? She's famous. Kali energy, the skulls around her neck. And Durga, being a great, powerful, high goddess of integrity, even in her the deepest shadows, she's in her integrity because she is the tower in the tarot card. She is the tower moment. You know, it's the number 16 in tarot. It's number 16 in numerology that goes back to the Chaldeans and Egyptians. That's who actually was doing numerology, and then it was it was refined, if you will, brought to light through the Kabbalah system. But originally, it was Egyptian, just so you know. Most of the mystical things that we know, some of the things that we still understand as being Western is actually harks back to Egypt. Okay, and this is known. Herodotus used to go to Egypt, and believe it or not, it's the first time I ever came across a Greek philosopher who was outwardly racist. He made some racist comments. I can't quote, if I can't quote directly in this particular case, I'm not, but suffice it to say, I was in shock. I remember reading that in 1998, and I was like, holy fuck, what an ass. But yeah, he went to Greece, as many of the Greek philosophers, mathematicians went to Greece to learn. Okay, and so a lot of knowledge has been assumed to be Western when actually it was not. And so if it was Egyptian, and I'll go further, if it was Egyptian, then it was from the star seeds. It was from the Andromedans who visited. Now, how do I know that? Well, because I've had clients who actually have gone into hypnotherapy with me, hypnosis, and who remember their past lives. I swear to God, one particular client in Egypt as an Andromedan. I swear to God. Okay, and she was there to help with the culture. She was there, not realizing the level of barbarity and violence and innate evil in Draconians. And she got sucked up into drama, I believe, if I recall correctly. So when we look at the morphing of Lilith, and so let's go back to Lilith. Hecate, I'm going to be very blunt with you. I don't know enough to talk about, but Lilith, I know a lot. So Lilith, and this is interesting because there's a creator who's really fucking kick-ass. Some of the shit he creates, I think, is mythology, but who gives a fuck, you know? Eat the fish and throw away the bones, you know, as they say. But his name is Astral Legends, and I was watching one of his videos about a year ago. Now, hang on, let me try to remember when I first, because I started, oh yeah, okay, so in 2018, I had a massive connection with Lilith, okay? I was shown what happened with Lilith. And so anyway, one of the things Astral Legend mentioned was that Adam was an albino. Now, what's interesting about objective truth, which means it's the absolute truth, and you might say, well, how in the hell are you going to say that? Well, because when 2, 3, 4 people have the same experience, spiritual experience, you start realizing, wait, hang on, you're seeing the same shit I'm seeing. That's insane. I don't even know your ass. I don't even know you. I just saw your content, or I just read your blog, and you're saying what I saw 4 years ago, or this year. I'll explain. So apparently, Adam, first man on Earth, supposedly, was known as being albino. Well, in my vision that I was shown, while I was taking San Pedro, just to be honest, the grandfather medicine, I was shown exactly that. I was shown a beautiful, dark-skinned, chocolate almost, skin with wild, matted, dark black hair, who was Lilith. And she rose from the dirt with Adam, who was an albino, simultaneously. You'll see one of my videos where I actually show that, that I've created on my TikTok. And they rise as equals in every word, equals in every sense, equals in except for one. Lilith is an individual, powerful, passionate woman with ideals, and Adam is a snotty little kid in a man's body. He is undefined in his manhood. He is more of a bully than a man. He is undefined in his manhood. He is more of a bully than a man, which I find interesting that it's mentioned, okay? And so what does he want to do? Well, he wants to take Lilith from behind like one would take a goat. You get exactly what I'm saying. And she doesn't want to. She wants to ride him to the promised land, if you will. And he doesn't want that because then she's in power, right? And so they have an argument. And Lilith is like, fuck off, big time, and leaves the Garden of Eden and comes across a whole bunch of people having a Bacchanalian feast, a.k.a. Burning Man, okay? To give you a visual immediately. And she's pissed because she's like, wait, hang on. I thought we were the only two people on the planet and we were going to co-create a race of human beings. And she realizes she's been duped by the God of the Old Testament. And she's really pissed. But she decides, hey, you know what? When in Rome. And so she parties. She takes a lover. Maybe. I'm going to throw that out. No, I'm going to take that out. She doesn't take a lover. But she does watch people doing their thing, aka in the Burning Man sense. And behind her, she hears a voice. And that is doing their thing, aka in the Burning Man sense. And behind her, she hears a voice. And that is something that I saw. She hears a voice that has a high frequency. And it feels like a memory. And this is an archangel of immense size, immense size, black wings, black hair, darkened skin, long hair down to his shoulders. And he's hovering above her and lands. And he starts in a manner of what I would say telepathically showing her an image of who she was before she became a humanoid. And how he was his beloved consort, and how they were twins. They were one of the same in different bodies in higher realms of consciousness. And I wouldn't say he was an angel. I would say he was in the angelic realms, meaning high frequency. And I wouldn't say he was an angel in the way you see angels, Gabriel, Michael, you know who I'm talking about. No, he's not that. It's a different sentient being, similarly to being an Andromedan, a Lyran. You get the picture. And he reminds her telepathically. But they can't be together anymore because this is very, and I connect that to the Little Mermaid. I connect that to Little Mermaid in that what happens to the Little Mermaid? Well, she gives up her voice, her ability to express herself, to get legs, to get to the prince. She gives up everything for the shot at getting the prince to see her, love her, and be with her. But she's lost her ability to communicate her truth, her voice chakra, which I think is an incredible story. Because that is a woman's archetypal story. Because women do this shit all the time. They literally give up their voice, their ability to create, autonomy. In fact, we women, by sword point and gun point, have given up our high priestess energy, and then we become men. If you follow my last video I did yesterday, this last live, it's about men and why women, a lot of women are now men, and men complain. It's like, men, you're at fault. Okay, and I explain it. You can check it out. And some women are at fault for that as well. So check out that video to understand where I'm coming from. But anyway, so he says to her, listen, before you came here, you were my beloved. And they don't know how to get back to each other on the frequency because he can't stay long in that dense frequency. He can't stay very long because it's like drowning. It's like taking a dolphin out of water. You got about 30 minutes of oxygen. After that, they die. Similarly to that, that's the frequency. And so they're in perpetual separation. It's kind of like the movie Ladyhawke. Check that out. You should check out the movie Ladyhawke with Michelle Pfeiffer and Rutger Hauer. Yeah, watch that movie. It's incredible. It's actually an incredible movie of a twin. I wouldn't say twin flame. I'd say a twin soul mate connection that's fucked over by a real curse. Please don't make that curse idea yours on a twin flame journey. It's just a movie. It's a beautiful kind of fairy tale, but like, don't think that curses exist for twins. Don't do that, okay? That's not why I said it. But in this movie, that's what it's about. So this beloved, let's call him Michael, this beloved angel-like sentient being is trying to figure out how to get back to her. And he can't. And so he goes back in the higher realms and he's literally asking a higher realms, and I would say the galactic. And so he goes back in the higher realms and he's literally asking a higher realms, and I would say the Galactic Council, the elders, the wise ones, the light beings, how do I? And they said she's in the cycle and eventually she'll forget everything. Can you imagine? It's like a woman, it's kind of like the movie The Notebook, where she has Alzheimer's, like dementia, Alzheimer's, and she can't remember anything anymore. And they say to him, that's what's going to happen to her. Eventually, she will not remember you or anything before this life. And so Lilith morphs, eventually morphs, because in her rage lies incredible grief. Grief because now she realizes what she's become. She goes back into the Garden of Eden, and now she's morphed into, I would say, a snake or a reptilian, because her heart has been so filled with pain, so much grief, and realizing there's no fucking way back, that her heart turns to stone, if you will. And she goes into the Garden of Eden, and there is Eve, because Adam was a bitch, and Adam was so upset that Lilith wouldn't do, she wasn't compliant, that he called out to this Anunnaki god, because it's certainly not the god that created all of us, but an Anunnaki god who said, and he said, give me something else. And so we've got the story of Adam's rib, from the rib of him came this woman, Eve, which would be below him and subservient to him, which is interesting because the soul is the soul is the soul. It doesn't matter if a soul enters a body that is broken or a mind that seems to be broken. Eventually the soul would pierce through and bring in light. It's very similar to the book The Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, where the main protagonist in the book is a beta. He was created in chambers with other fetuses, and the alphas get all the oxygen, and the betas get absolutely no oxygen, like a little bit of oxygen every day to make them somewhat. They're dumbing them down by preventing oxygen. But even though that happens, in the book, The Brave New World, he actually becomes awakened. So the soul, when it's ready to awaken, just fucking awakens, and that's the end of it. And so once Michael, right, the archetype of this, angelic-like being, realized that Lilith is going to be going through the cycle of reincarnation, decides, I'd rather lower myself. I need to find her. And before that happens, though, as you know, Lilith walks into the garden, sees that Eve is, frolicking around and completely ignorant of fucking life. She wasn't ashamed of nudity. None of them were. But they weren't aware of their vulnerability as humanoids. And so there is a fruit of knowledge. And there is, there is that. There is this tree that grows, this incredibly delectable, think of it as a mixture of a peach and a pear. And in that, you find who you are. Self-realization starts evolving. Because in a way, the Anunnaki god is basically got these humans trapped in an open-air prison, if you will, called Eden. And they're just for his pleasure. He gets to fuck with them. He plays with them. It's kind of like, imagine putting two rats in a box and sometimes bringing out the big stick and fucking with, prodding the rats with sticks. And in a way, that's what's happening. So Lilith walks in and starts telepathically talking to Eve. Eve is sleeping up against the tree of knowledge, not knowing that it's a tree of knowledge. And what is knowledge if not abundance? What is knowledge if not power? And so she somehow convinces her by, basically baiting her curiosity, which we all have. If you have a half a brain, you're curious about everything. And eventually appears, supposedly, to Eve. I'm not convinced of that, but okay, let's go with that. And Eve does take a bite of the fruit of knowledge, the fruit of wisdom, the fruit of life, and convinces Adam to partake, and he does too, even though he knew that the Anunnaki goddess said, do not touch this fruit. And it's interesting too, because we have free will, right? And in the law of the universe, right, created by the real God, the real entity that's created God, if he's going to let an Anunnaki god play games with humans or other sentient beings, there are going to be some certain rules of engagement, which is the key to exit these kinds of situations. And what would be the key to exit a situation of perpetual frolicking in a garden in ignorance, like an ape, an animal. Well, it would be, you're going to put a couple fucking trees up here, and you're going to give them a fountain of youth, and you're going to give them a tree of knowledge, a tree of wisdom. You're going to put it right in the fucking middle, and that's it. You want to play with your little toys? Then that's what you're going to do, my little Anunnaki fuck. And so that's basically it. And so the fruit is eaten, and both of them are scolded by the Anunnaki God, and the Anunnaki God, basically gets them aware that they are humans. They are nude, but there's no shame. There's self-realization of one's body, kind of like a baby being born completely in awe of its fingers and toes. Everything they're in awe of. So finally they wake up from this, if you will, lobotomy of what some people would call innocence, which I would call ignorance. And of course, now that they're no longer in a box, if you will, called Eden, where the temperature is a certain level of 75 degrees, swear to God, I'm just dumbing it all down for us all to enjoy. They realize they have to cover their bodies because it's fucking cold. Because now it's like, 45 degrees because the weather is changing. It's a four-season type of place. And they walk out of the Garden of Eden and they see, just like Lilith did, all these fucking people. And they're like, what the fuck? We thought four-season type of place. And they walk out of the Garden of Eden and they see, just like Lilith did, all these fucking people. And they're like, what the fuck? We thought we were the only people here. And there begins for them the cycle of reincarnation. And there begins for them the cycle of reincarnation. And the sad part is that Lilith then becomes Ishtar, right? The goddess Ishtar. And the way the Westerners, and of course you could say the Sumerians talk about it too, this rage of her attacking children in their sleep, which I find interesting because before her making, wasn't there people sleeping, having nightmares? And what does nightmares do to children, in particular children? It terrifies them. And what does that do? Especially children who are not aware they're psychic and they can see behind the veils, right? They can see what you would call ghosts. They can see entities. They are fully aware of these entities visiting them, which if you see something and you know it. And in the ancient world, people were terrified of everything. The moon eclipse, and you know it. And in the ancient world, people were terrified of everything. The moon eclipsing, albino calves being born. I mean, everything was a fucking sign. And so the cycle of reincarnation began, and eventually the sentient being that looked like an angel, chose to go through portals. Now, why do I know that? Well, because I've seen many in my hypnosis session with my clients. I've seen them talking about walking through portals to go to lower frequencies or higher frequencies. Swear to God. And then I also see it in my Akashic readings. I see it. So there's certain processes. Like, we don't talk about portals just as an idea. They really are portals. And when we are in higher frequencies, we will walk through a portal to go to another portal, kind of like Stargate, the movie. Of course, they have to add all kinds of battling and boom booms to go to another portal, kind of like Stargate, the movie. Of course, they have to add all kinds of battling and boom booms to make it anymore. We want just movies that show how we came here, how we fell into 3D. How did it happen? That's much more interesting, I think, to many of us than any more boom booms and guns, to be honest. It's boring. But so the cycle began of reincarnation. And why do I know that? Well, because remember I told you about the Andromedan who was in Egypt? Okay. Well, that Andromedan ended up incarnating in a human body, right? And in the very act of coming into a body, it could have been a walk-in situation. I don't remember, to be honest. But it could have been a temporary situation. I just, yeah, it's an Andromedan. I want to understand what it's like to be a human. And so taking on the incarnation as a human and completely being wiped clean of fucking memory. Wiped clean. And so the Michael that I was telling you about, eventually wanting Lilith, his beloved, back in his life, went through the experience, the first human incarnation. And you could say that began their twin flame journey because of the absolute ravages of memory, absolutely torn to shreds until there were only fragments here and there. And so then, of course, then we have the patriarchy rising and toppling the high priestesses and, basically threatening high priestesses at sword point, treating high priestesses like shit, which you can see in the movie Troy with, what's his name? I forgot his name. But the movie Troy, where they go into a temple, which was a big no-no. And usually temple priestesses were either virginal or there were other types of temple priestesses. There were, as you probably know, erotic temples. There were also healing temples that included a sexual union. And then there were just, Vestal Virgin high priestesses and so forth. And so men, warriors, began to desecrate not just the temple, but the women behind those temples. And so the lack of respect using sexual violence against women in those ancient lands was such a sacrilegious act that we lost our connection to, you could say, the gods. I would say ultimately the one God energy, because it's not a match. You can't go to church and or temple and absolve your sins like that. That's not how it works. Especially when you've used your root chakra as a sword against a woman, a child. It's not going to work. It's just you're fucked for many, many incarnations. You are just fucked. But in that world, which unfortunately we're seeing the rising of that template again of absolute violence that we're seeing, which unfortunately we're seeing the rising of that template again of absolute violence that we're seeing replicated again and again. This is happening. And why am I sharing all of that with you? Well, because what's happening in the world right now is the darkest before the dawn. Because when people like me spoke, we were burnt at the stakes. That's it. It was that simple. If you decided to understand the story of Lilith and Adam and Eve and reframe that story, that template was very important for the masculine, because I even grew up in that. Even though I was not going to church the way some people were raised in this country, but you have to understand, I was raised in Europe, and I remember distinctly at the age of 9 and 10 how women were the pollination of Eve eating from the fruit of knowledge and wisdom was absolutely bastardized, that we were not to be trusted, I grew up with that at 10, and I was not going into church, and I was not being made to read the Bible, just so you know. So I was picking it up, like sponging it up as an energy that was like pollen blown in the wind, swear to God. So this is dangerous. It's dangerous to women because men at that point, okay, and this goes also in the Bhagavad Gita. When I first read the book in 1980, I remember reading it, looking at it, going, wait, hang on, wait. Are you saying that women are akin to cattle? And then to incarnate as a woman means you fucked up when you were a man, so now you've been punished to be a woman? And yet our wombs are known as the matrix? We are the matrix? We're not here to escape the matrix. We're here to honor the matrix, which is the womb of the woman. Not only are you holding flesh, blood, and bone in your womb, but you're holding an entire soul in your womb that comes in and out when it wants to check in with its body, that's avatar that's growing inside your body. And the soul goes in and out, goes to higher dimensions, probably does soul reviews of its future life to see what is possible here. What can I accomplish here? I hope the fuck I don't forget what I'm here for. That kind of thing. And then eventually roots itself into that avatar in your matrix, in your womb. And this is really important because women, the level of disrespect that women are constantly, is a portal. Exactly. So, is a portal. Exactly. So, so thank you for your comments. I want to read them in a minute. But so when we go into this energy of the innate light that we've been given, particularly when we incarnate as women, when we choose to be women in this incarnation, and we choose to have children, right? What I've noticed, and I've noticed this since the 80s, okay? And I've noticed that women are treated like no better than a cow that's pregnant. Doesn't matter. There's no level of respect. It's the weirdest thing. Women are allowed to climb ladders at 8 months pregnant. That's insane shit to me. She could fall. She could fucking miscarry. And especially now. It's more dangerous than ever to miscarry. And you know why? Roe versus Wade. I never thought we'd have this discussion in the 21st century, but here we are. And so what I've noticed since my 20s is how women were fucked. I've seen women, especially in the 80s, this was a big thing, where the minute they realized that you were pregnant, your ass was fired. Period. That was it. I swear to God. And this was when I lived in San Francisco. So if you think it was a Midwest thing or a red state thing or whatever, no, it wasn't. It was right here in San Francisco, California. Okay? So it was happening. And I remember in my 20s being horrified. So there's an innate cruelty in the system. And by the way, you couldn't sue in those days at all. You couldn't sue. And today, I don't know if you could sue. Because employment now is at will. So why am I saying all that? Well, because we do have a problem as women. The level of violence, the level of disrespect and masculine rage, the difference between feminine rage, my little red pillars out there that are, hopefully you'll listen to this, but you won't because you don't have the balls. But if you have balls and you want to listen to a woman and to explain to you why women are men, let me explain something to you. Because the average woman can't kick your ass. And so when a woman is angry as opposed to a man, see, a woman's not going to take you out and take your life, whereas you could actually smack her in such a way that it takes your life. See, that's the difference, my little Eros stallion. And this is a real concern. And this is a real truth. So when a woman is angry, I've done some videos and I will explain that. I should do a video on how a man should treat a woman and how a woman should understand the man's silence when he's going through something. I did 2 videos. You can look at them, scroll all the way down to my TikTok. And you'll see an old woman and an old man. Those are the videos you can listen to. And they're very short. The investment is 3 minutes. So when we understand the level of strength that it takes for your average woman to fight out a masculine attack, we realize that we are at a deficit. And men, see the problem with you men, many of you who are red pillars, you men savor that deficit. And that makes you extremely dangerous to us women. Because you savor the fact that you can subjugate a woman by the sheer difference of your size in some cases, or just your strength in some cases. And women, unfortunately, are, and I'm going to say this, unfortunately are a nurturing type. And women are going to be hesitant to do something to pluck out your eyes or to punch you in the throat or anything like that. Because women hesitate, because women are naturally nurturing and kind. Or they'll be fucking frozen, during the headlights, absolutely frozen. And this is insane that you have put women in that position, you little red pillars, absolutely frozen. And this is insane that you have put women in that position, you little red pillars, because it was a time in the 1940s where there were two sets of men, insane ones who were violent, and men of integrity and honor who would never allow a woman to get her ass kicked in the streets. Today, unfortunately, we have women who are in situations because they have their own toxicity who will, and I can tell you an actual story where a woman was getting harmed on the street by her boyfriend, and a man, I won't say who, but he's close to me, stopped it. Other people were filming, other men were filming, and then she, when the cops came, she accused the man who helped her that he had started it. And thank God he had witnesses, and it was filmed, and they saw she was getting her ass kicked, and he came in to help her as a knight in shining armor, and her dumbass turned on him. And if there had not been cameras, if there had not been witnesses, that woman would have probably put this young man who helped her in jail for assault. So why am I saying that? Because you have to understand that we also have a lot of toxic women walking around this planet who have turned good men, very, very good men, into a neutral state. So now, because this is true, and this is true, there are a lot of good men who will not fucking, save you anymore. Because they've heard their stories from their best friends, their fathers, their brothers, they've seen the videos of these situations, and they will not assist. They'll film, they'll call the cops, but they will not assist. Because there are too many toxic women they've tried to save that almost landed them in jail. So we have a lot of work to do, don't we? Because now we have the red pillars, the incels, the frustrating, and the weaker the man, the more dangerous, just so you know. The weaker the man, the more dangerous he is to you. Okay? You're better off with a fucking alpha male than some nerd. Those nerds, they can harm you and take your life. And why am I talking about all this shit? Because there's a foundational template that we have to deconstruct. That's why. We have what people call Jezebels. Whatever the fuck that means, honestly. It actually doesn't exist. It's a term that was bastardized from Queen Jezebel. And it's this idea that a woman is a black widow. I'll just get to the point. By the way, there's a great movie called Black Widow. Watch it. There are women who make it their mission to hate men and to go after men and to ruin good men, to be the first sexual experience to a man and ruin him, fuck him up. She wants to fuck him up. We've got some narcissistic cunts out there, bitches out there that are really dangerous. Really, really dangerous. And they've made our lives harder as women. This is why we can't bring all these women as sisters into our tribes. We cannot. We can't. Because they have created the situation where the good men now have to sit back. And that's fucked up. What does that mean? It means we're on our own. We're on our own. Now, if there's a man who just recently, unfortunately, stabbed this young blonde woman. The guy was African American, I believe, or I don't know what country. I'm assuming it was here in America, and stabbed her for no apparent reason. Fucking way, but it was done from behind. She was sitting in a metro car, reading a book, I think, or reading something on her phone. In under 25 years old, dead because some fucking whack, reading a book, I think, or reading something on her phone. In under 25 years old, dead because some fucking whack job decided it was a good day to, take someone's life. Now there were men on the train who stopped him, right? Because there was a group of men who stopped him. Well, but it was too late. This is what you men don't understand. Okay, you guys don't understand. I'm not asking you to, stop a situation. I'm asking you to call out your fucking men who are weak fucks who have put us in danger. We have created an atmosphere where nuts. When somebody says, "Oh, they're crazy," they're crazy. I remember my husband, who was 6'2", biggest hands I've ever seen on a man to this day. I remember some guy who acted crazy in the park in San Francisco. This is when Reagan was letting all the people with mental disorders out on the streets of San Francisco, I guess all over the country, but in this case. And some man was acting crazy. And I said, he's crazy. He said, no, you watch. And at the time, my fiance, my husband, just said, what the fuck are you doing? And the guy suddenly wasn't crazy. So this crazy roles that these supposedly people with mental health, they played on the most vulnerable. And I remember looking at him going, holy shit. He goes, yeah, he's not crazy. He's just playing crazy. But he knows I'll knock him a fucking across the park. And see, he sobered up. So we need men who have integrity and honor, but we also need, we as women, our part is to call out women who are toxic as fuck. We don't need them. We also need you men to call out the red pillars, the incels, the fact that there was a Telegram, a group on Telegram with over 70,000 men who were talking about what they wanted to do to their most their own relatives. I'm not going to go into details because it's so horrific and abhorrent. I can't and I will not give you the list. But you can, I'm just saying siblings, family members who are of the feminine sex, what they would do to them. That's insane. That's insane. So you men need to do your job, and we women, we will do our job to make sure to protect good men by calling out poisonous, toxic women. And your job is to call out toxic, weak incels, red pillars, and whatever other little group names or acronyms you have for these disgusting men. But we need to normalize mental health. A healthy human being is a human being that has honor, integrity, empathy, who would never watch a person getting harmed, who would never allow a man to talk about a girl as if and sexualize children or girls. There are men. There was a guy who was a gay guy, good-looking guy, muscular, the whole bit, like gorgeous man, who was doing a lot of things on TikTok, exposing men who were, we're talking about men in their fucking 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, making comments on posts of 9-year-old children on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, and begging parents to stop posting photos of their children. Begging. And he finally said, I'm actually having a mental breakdown. Like, I can't do this anymore. And I think, I haven't seen him since. He stopped doing it. It was too much because nothing was happening. We saw, the Sound of Freedom, the movie. Everyone was crying. Oh my God, it's so exciting, blah, blah, blah. But you guys aren't taking it seriously because you men need to call out these men. They're fucking creeps. Blah, blah, blah. But you guys aren't taking it seriously because you men need to call out these men. They're fucking creeps. And we need to, and I'm going to say it straight up, porn is really a massive problem. And the normalization of children being thought of as sexy goes back to Brooke Shields in her movie Pretty Baby. And her at the age between 10 and 12, I forgot if she was 10, 11, 12, whatever, but she was no more than 12, on the pages of Playboy in the late 70s. This template needs to end, and we need good men to help us end this template. We can't do it without you. Women, I don't give a fuck. You can't do it without the men. If you don't agree with me, fine, don't agree. We can't do it without the men, because as long as men allow other men to consume this shit, we're fucked. The Roman Polanskis of the world, there's a lot of them. There's too many of them. The book Lolita, if you've never read that book, read it. You will be horrified. This was considered, well, first it was banned, but considered a classic. A classic of what? Excuse me, hang on. Read it. You will be horrified. This was considered, well, first it was banned, but considered a classic. A classic of what? Excuse me, hang on. She's 12. The book The Lovers It was a movie where her lover is a Chinese man. I'm sure you saw it. And she's 13. What the fuck are we talking about here? Why are we normalizing this shit? Elvis Presley marrying what's her name? Priscilla. You know, her parents allowing her. Jerry Lee Lewis. I could go on and on. I mean, I could go on. This template has to be taken down. And we cannot do it without men. I did my part. I raised a boy into a man who is absolutely disgusted by this shit. And I'm going to tell you straight up a story because it's important. You know, absolutely disgusted by this shit. And I'm going to tell you straight up a story because it's important. You know, good looking young man. We move here. He meets this girl in a supermarket. She's 16. He doesn't know it. I fucking don't know it. She's a gorgeous girl. I have no idea. I think she's like 19. And then he, they exchanged Instagram and he realized, oh, fuck, she's 6. Oh, yeah, fuck that. Oh, yeah, hell no. And she went up to him in the supermarket saying, this, that, and the other, what's happening? And he said, no, I just found out you're 16, right? Or 17. Anyway, you're going to high school, right? And she goes, yeah. He goes, no, I can't. You're too young. She went, what? You're too young. You're really a nice girl, but I can't. No offense. I've blocked you on all my accounts, not because I'm trying to punish you, but because I can't date you. You're too young. Now, please note, he's 23, going on 24. Do you know what she said to him? You're a hell of a man, because most of the men twice your age are chasing me. Did you hear what I just said? Chasing me. And they know I'm 16. Chasing me. I went to the supermarket a few months ago, 2 months ago. I saw grown-ass men calling her by her name in a flirtatious way. She's edging into 18. She's more like 17. Not okay. Not fucking okay. They're lucky I didn't make a scene. And the reason why I didn't make a scene was because it was still subtle shit. But I saw the sexual energy that they were throwing at her. And I saw her lowering her eyes and turning her body opposite them. All body language shit that, you notice. 2 men. All in their definite 50s. All out of shape. Not that you being in shape would make a difference. But fuck, that could be your granddaughter, motherfucker. And that's the kind of shit I'm asking men to do. It's the kind of comment where a man like you would come up and see that shit and go, dude, she could be your granddaughter. Are you serious, man? I need you to do that. So men can go home and think about it again. Think about why they're looking at OnlyFans. You see, when I was in my 20s, very early 20s, I remember watching documentaries on street hookers. I'm very curious about everything, about sex, about what drives people to do what they do sexually, because as my father once said, once you understand people's picadillos in sexuality, you know everything you need to know about them. That was a very wise lesson from a man of the world. I was very, very blessed. But one of the themes I kept saying and seeing, was men hiring young girls to do their services and them saying, you remind me of my fucking daughter. Now, who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? Sounds like somebody, the Frito-Lay man with his own daughter. Epstein, right? Okay. This is not okay, my friends. If you are having those feelings, my old man, if you are having those feelings, those desires, go see a fucking therapist. Go get yourself a masculine therapist who's not a creep like you. And go get your ass fixed. Because I can tell you that I would never, and most women I could say, will never desire a boy that looks like their son. Never. None of us are having any Oedipus issues here. I remember when I could have been a cougar, my son was like, early 20s, he was like 20 going, Mom, you're a cougar. You could, I'm like, no, dude, no, hell no. No. Hell no. This is something that is more of an. It's one thing to be in your 40s and you're dating a man in your 30s. Okay, I'm not talking about that. But if you're in your 40s, 50s, and you're dating a man in their 20s, I don't know. I don't know. Ask yourself why. And it could be, well, you're very judgmental. Yeah, you're fucking A. You're right. And here's the thing, though. When women in the 1800s were taking lovers who were in their 20s and they were in their 30s and 40s, kind of like the movie Chérie, with Michelle Pfeiffer, another great movie, it was a rite of passage. And there was something about it that was a little cleaner. I'm going to just say it. We women are different. I will say that we women are different. But what we've done now is expect a 20-year-old lover who should be a temporary type of situation to become our husbands, to become fathers of children. That's a little weird to me. But I can tell you that even if a woman goes for a younger man, again, she's in her 40s, he's in his 20s, there's something different in the dynamics. Like Mick Jagger was in his 70s having a baby with a former ballerina. She was 29 having one of his babies. By the way, they're not in a relationship anymore. There's something wrong with him. Mick Jagger, there's something wrong with you, my friend. There's something wrong with you. And then you have to contrast that. You've got Lenny Kravitz, who's been celibate for 10 years. A man who really could get any pussy he wants, damn near. In excellent shape, a vegan, rich, beautiful, and he's celibate. So he's definitely working shit out on his sexuality. I'm asking you men, start working on yourself. Work on your body. Work on your soul. Work on your sexual desires. Because I remember my mother and I were one day in a balcony and we were talking about this, that, and the other. And she turned to me and said, it was on the subject of sexuality, sensuality, regaining our, autonomy as women. And she turned to me and said, all men are kinky. I went, all men? All men are kinky, she said. Even your father. I went, wow. And I'm like, 30, 32, 33, I forgot, thereabouts. I never forgot that conversation because I realized, wait, hang on. Kinky is not Tantra. Kinky is not Tantra. Tantra is yoga, is lovemaking it's like yoga with sex. It's breath work. It's long, languorous, sensual moments in bed or in a field or on the beach. It's conscious meditation through intimacy. And occasionally there's fucking on the kitchen table. Because, you want some spice in some moments, of course. But kinky. Let's deconstruct kinky. Well, I kind of just did, didn't I? I kind of mapped it out. And so when we point our fingers to certain religious, and you know who I'm talking about, who are marrying 9-year-old girls, which is absolutely disgusting, no doubt about it, right? But you've got grown men who look like truck drivers, who look like grandfathers, who are making comments, salacious comments on Facebook posts of little girls. The only difference is he can't, if he could, he would marry a 9-year-old. See, that's the difference. That's the difference. And that's the problem. So the template that we've had to deal with as women, every time we incarnated as women, we had to deal with this template that was dangerous and has become, and I'm shocked to say it, I said it yesterday, I'm saying it again, the template today is more dangerous than it was 100 years ago. Definitely in the Western world and third world countries. Women are going to fucking Japan, walking around at 2 o'clock in the morning feeling safe. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is going on? And what's interesting about oppressive cultures or cultures that are very dogmatic, no matter where you go in the world, sexuality has to be deconstructed, and we have to configure it into a healthy place for all of us. And I never thought I'd say that, because when I was in my 20s, I definitely consumed porn. Trust me. And then one day I realized, what am I doing? This is bullshit. Because again, I hope I'm one of the last, but I doubt it, the last generation of women to actually want to please a man at any cost. I hope I'm one of the last ones. I hope when I die, it'll be the last fucking truth of that. Because a man is supposed to protect, a woman leads the way to sacred intimacy. You don't allow a man to lead into intimacy because it's going to go kinky, right? Which, again, 50 Shades of Grey did a lot of damage. And literally, we went off the fucking rails on that one. Because to look at bondage as pleasure is not, it's a mental disorder. I don't give a fuck if I offend you. I really don't care. I don't give a shit. Pain is not pleasure. It isn't. And I read Marquis de Sade when I was 17, 18. Justine, for one. That's the one I remember the most. Justine. And I sat back going, holy shit. And I saw the movie, The Story of O, which many of you should see. See, I grew up with this shit. It's not like I don't know what erotica is. I do. And I do know what S&M is very well. And it's not tantric sexuality. It's not ascension, spiritual lovemaking. It isn't. It's 3D baseness. It's like going into the basement of your ability. I mean, you're walking away from your ability to have sacred intimacy, and you're going into the basement with the paraphernalia, the red room, right? AKA 50 Shades, right? And that's a root chakra trauma. That is not a celebration. It really isn't. So it's not like I haven't been there. I'm not a nun. I've seen it. I've read about it. And I've studied it. Because I was fascinated. Because if I'm going to be a sexual advocate, I need to understand the shadows as well as the light. This is what people don't understand. And you have to study your shadows. I had a man who's in a relationship with his beloved, person, and was having some feelings for his, for let's just say, a person younger in the family unit. And I called him out. And I said, and you're telling me this, and thank you for trusting me, my sweet brother. And you're telling me this because you know it's wrong. And you got to work on that shit. And and here's, to be fair, to be gentle to these men who come to you, when they do come to you with this, don't fucking shame them. Say, because there is a pollination of deviancy. What does that mean, pollination? It means it's traveling around the world. It's the 100 monkey theory. Pollination of deviancy. What does that mean, pollination? It means it's traveling around the world. It's the 100 monkey theory. We are being impacted by some weird shit that is not yours. It's not yours. And then you think it's yours, and you're like, is it me? No, it's not you, baby. It's not you. Is it you? And that's the question. Is it you? Are you willing, my fine young Eros stallion? I'm like quoting Aubrey Marcus laughingly. Are you going to sit in your shadows, your sexual shadows, and see whether or not this is real, this is yours, or is it a sponging up of energies that are not yours, and you're like, wow, I need to clean that up. That's why we have to eradicate this template. Ascension, you earth, there's a lot going on to get to a new template. And the template that is currently still in place has become incredibly more dangerous to women in the Western world and the East, what you might call third world countries, than ever before. And it's not because we have, oh, we have internet now, we see more. No, I've been watching this. No, what's causing the issue is porn, absolutely. But there's a lot more going on, a lot more. Okay? And that's what we need to understand. And so men, you want to change the world? You want to be a man? Well, a man doesn't fucking sit back and watch boys being boys. And then wonder why women want to be men. Why do women, very beautiful, Shakti-like energy, suddenly become a man? Why is it that being pretty is something that a woman should be concerned about? I'm not joking when I say that. And many of you probably don't even see it that way, but I do. When a woman is pretty and she can't fucking walk down the street without being fucking harassed, a nod and a smile is enough. Do you know how I met my twin? It was a nod. The first time we saw each other, he nodded his head towards me, and that was it. And the following day we saw each other, and he kept staring at me and turning his head because he didn't want to be obvious, and eventually we met. But it wasn't all this slimy, slithering energy. Okay? Men have become actually, okay, 80% of you men are fucking disgusting. 20%, I call you unicorns for a reason. You're fucking unicorns. Oh my God, it's a sighting of a good man. Oh my God. And toxic women are fucking ruining those good men. So we have a problem. We have a problem. My beautiful sisters, we have a problem. We need to do our job. And when you see a man flirting with the cashier, and she definitely looks like she could be his granddaughter or at the least his adult daughter, say something. That's right. That's how you change shit. You say something. Be the Johnny Appleseed. Scatter your seeds of intolerance over these kind of fucking toxic men. It's not going to turn into a fight, because you know what I will say to you, my young brother, my older brother, is that these type of men are cowards. So actually, if you actually say something, they won't say much. They won't say much. Because internally they know you're right. They know exactly what they're doing. And they're doing it to a young girl who doesn't have the wherewithal, the balls, hasn't been raised like a woman like me. I was raised by a ballsy fucking masculine father figure who fucking knew how men were and taught me how to fucking advocate. Okay? Advocate. Okay? And the only time I would shut my mouth is if it was with a businessman, and I would tell my mother, who would tell my father, who would then handle it. My point to you is that he wanted, and he told me, I want to make sure that you're not a victim. I want you to know everything. And he said it in very raw terms, what I needed to learn about men. Because even though he had his own masculine toxicity, trust me, he didn't want me to be a victim of it. And I'm very blessed, very, very blessed. And I still ended up in toxic relationships that were temporary, but it still happened because that's the nature of a young girl finding herself, finding her sexuality, finding her new body. You know, now she's got all these things appearing on her body, and it's exciting, and she's seeing how she's turning men's heads, and she's got her ego fluttering, you know, normal. And yet men take advantage of that. Not fucking okay. So hopefully we will have more of these discussions on what ascension means. And ascension means destroying old templates, building new templates of light, of 5D, of self-mastery, of integrity, of protection. And so you guys who are the unicorns, the golden divine masculine who are listening to this, I appreciate you, trust me. But you are the only person that can bring a shift to that listening to this, I appreciate you, trust me. But you are the only person that can bring a shift to that in the masculine department, and we will handle the fucking feminine toxic bitches that are making our lives harder. Because they're taking perfectly good men and destroying them. And we'll handle that. We'll handle that. So that we can have a balanced energy on this planet once we walk into 5D, that is a balance of the feminine and masculine, Isis, Osiris, Krishna, Radha, Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene type of template. That's the template we're looking to build. It's the same, you know, when Yeshua was brought this woman who was an adulteress, in quotation marks, an adulteress. Most likely she was forced into marriage, and she was maybe in love with a man who, you know, she really truly loved. But anyway, she was called an adulteress, right? And they wanted to stone her. Fun group of men, huh? They wanted to stone her. And what did he say? For you who has not sinned, let you cast the first stone. No one did. Sometimes, do you see what I mean by men and cowards? Weak men are cowards. You don't have to say anything sometimes, or you don't have to physically do anything. Just, hey, if you have no sin, go ahead, pick up the rock. It's right over there. There's a whole pile. They're really good, big rocks. Pick one up. Go ahead. Start swinging. And they all walked away. Yeshua is a template for you masculines. Mary Magdalena is a template for us feminines. That's why many of us are deconstructing what the fuck the Catholic Church did after the Council of Nicaea, once they were formally formed, was raised, okay, from the ashes of barbaric wars 500 years after his death to the level that we understand it today. And so for us to enjoy a new template, we are excavating, many of us have taken it as a task, as a mission, one of the missions on this planet, to bring it back, to bring back the truth from fragments, from downloads, from our meditations. Who are we, if not the most qualified, above the apostles, above these men who wrote about Yeshua 200-300 years after he was dead, who were misogynists? What the fuck are we doing? So it's time for us, as women, as high-frequency females and high-frequency masculines, to rewrite, to bring the true story back. Like I said, through the fragments, through what was left behind or allowed to be left behind, and through our meditations, our downloads. We actually need to reconstruct it, because actually what we're doing is stitching in a template that first landed on this planet with Yeshua's birth. His mother, his beloved, and was buried alive. And that template is something that many of us feel so deeply about it. Because if you look at Krishna and Radha, nothing bad happened. Nothing bad. It was like Krishna's pursuits of pleasure on planet Earth. That's what those stories are about. They're funny, they're sweet, they're loving. There's no problem there. Isis Osiris is a template of jealousy, greed, and betrayal. But what is the template that's closest to us right now? Well, it's Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. Don't use any template you want. Buddha left his consort. He did. So that's not a template, right? That's a template of self-realization, of being the lone wolf, of sacrificing and saying, you can't, where I'm going, you can't come. There's a world I'm leaving. And I know you can't come to that world, so I have to leave you behind and my son. That's not a template that, you know, we can look. But we can look at the template of Mary and Yeshua. This is why I did a video recently. I did it last night, of them coming back together. You know, the resurrection. And they fucking leave. They skip. How long he survives after that is up for meditations and spiritual excavation. But I like to think, and this is, I'm going to go back to the movie The Last Temptation of Christ, where it's a movie about him being, I think it's a Bertolucci movie, where he's on the cross, and for the whole movie, he's thinking about what it would be like to have a life, to be with Mary Magdalene, to have children, to have a fucking life. Do you know that people went out in mass all over the country protesting that movie when it came out in 1979 or thereabouts, 1980? In mass how dare you? How dare you? I'm sorry, how dare I think that maybe he survived that violence against his body, that he survived it, that he was able to alchemize the wounds, that he was able to rise out of the grotto, that he was able to meet her. She was inconsolable, and they actually decided to go to Egypt, and then fucking take a boat to France. How dare I? Really? You'd rather him suffer? What kind of fuck are you? There's these massive brainwashings, and these templates cannot be allowed anymore. For us in 5D, let them have their template. If they want to be in 3D, perpetuity, let them. Enjoy. Bye. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on your way out, please. Goodbye. But I like to think that he survived. And they were able to be together. And they had at least one child. And that's why I'm reading so much. I'm reading so much to see where, like, what was it? There's a book called The Woman with the Alabaster Jar by Margaret Starbird, I think is her name. And it's a woman with the Alabaster Jar by Margaret Starbird, I think is her name. And it's a download. And she wrote it, I think, in the late 50s, early 60s. Women have been attempting to tell the truth. The Cathars, I mentioned the Cathars again and again. I really want you to do some research on your ChatGPT, DeepSeek, whoever, whatever. Just look it up, Cathars. Cathars, and ask about Mary Magdalene, ask about Yeshua. This is the first time in history of since they died, that we are allowed to discuss this openly amongst each other without fear of being burned at the stakes or tortured and slaughtered. So this is an exciting time. We have to grab this portal of enlightenment and do as much research and writings. We need to do our own writings. We need to do our own journaling, our own musings, create videos, content, written, vlogging, however you want to do it, and bring forth what we feel. Unfortunately, I'm going to say this, unfortunately, you've got some quacks walking around talking about they're the reincarnation of Yeshua or Mary Magdalene, or that they are intimate, or they are their children's descent. It's like, fuck off. Just fuck the fuck off. Kindly do so fast. Your ego is a direct message to me that you have nothing to do with these entities. As a matter of fact, if you were, you'd be silent. You'd be silent doing some incredible work, and you're not. Don't cater to people like that. Be careful with people that claim their bloodlines and this, that, and the other. Anything that puts them on a pedestal is a fucking no. What I will tell you this is, if you're interested in this, then you are a fractal of their energy. I'll tell you that. And that's not to kiss your ass. I'm a fractal. You're a fractal. We are the lions. And we are going to excavate and rewrite the story and put it right once and for all. And rewrite the story and put it right once and for all for future generations. Some of these holy scriptures are fucking done. There's nothing holy about them. It's a mass corruption, a mass brainwashing, and it was derelict from the beginning. Again, I mentioned Emperor Constantine. And you, as a divine masculine, you who will help deconstruct this toxic template of the patriarchy and the matriarchy, you're so important to this new mandala that we're creating. You are so important. We need you so badly. And I am not ashamed to say, as a woman, I need the divine masculine to rise. And we will help you as women. We will help you in any way, but you have to ask us, how can we help you? And ask us how you can help us to co-create this template, this mandala of healing Ubuntu energy that's going to survive for thousands of years, that's going to literally destroy what has kept us broken, afraid, fractured, and eventually angry at our impotence. And I'm excited about this. I'm really excited. I'm actually very happy. I'm alive and well in this timeline. Hard as fuck, don't get me wrong. Hard as fuck. But what an opportunity to be with you all in getting, rolling up my sleeves and saying, okay, let's do it. What's next? It's exciting. And I hope you feel that you are a massive part of this new creation. Anyway, thank you all for being here. And thank you for sharing these beautiful truths. You are amazing. Love you, Tony. I love you too, Jillian. You're amazing. Stoning, that's awful. Yeah. Let me see. Oh, you were talking about this, Rachel. Wow, to your nieces. Most weak men especially go for weak prey. That man was possessed about this. Yeah. Misogyny in the Mormon church is one of the reasons I left. Well, I mean, it's not just misogyny in the Mormon church, and I totally agree. It's a very toxic example of that. I mean, what I think is funny, and I really don't give a shit. I'm going to tell you this. It's like they believe Jesus went to Utah, but they don't believe Jesus went to Egypt, India, and Tibet. Oh, God forbid that never happened. I've said this before, but I think I should say it again. God forbid. He went to Utah, though, but never did he go to India. He never went to Egypt. He never went to Tibet. No. But Utah, yes, he definitely went to Utah. And that's the level of stupid that I can't take. Let me see here. Let me see if I've missed anything. Thank you for your likes and your loves. I really appreciate it. Please follow me on YouTube and follow me on, go ahead and follow me on, Patreon. There's a free section to Patreon if you want to join me there. There's certain videos I will only make privy to my Patreon members. There's also a support group for Ascension and so forth. It's $9.99 a month. We meet every Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, so you're welcome to join the support group for Ascension and so forth. It's $9.99 a month. We meet every Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, so you're welcome to join that. For that, once I hit 27, I close that door. So we're at 10 right now. We just started. So if you want to join us. It's a Zoom call, and we talk, and we, listen to questions, and sometimes Andromeda Flame is going to be part of it. And by October, she'll be part of it again. And so you'll get to be coached, if you will, by two twin rays, me and her. And I think that's kind of cool, because we've gone through a lot. If you're in the twin journey, if you're in the Starseed Ascend journey, we're going through that. And it's conversations, and again, it's sharing wisdom and best practice. I think we're very blessed. It's a hell of a group. Anything else? Let me see. Yeah, there's a link in my profile. It's the Patreon group. If you can't find it for some reason, it's there. You got to scroll. You go on my link tree and you'll see the Patreon group. You'll see a picture of me. I'm wearing a straw hat, but it's a group. You'll see eyes. And then on the left-hand side, on the bottom corner, you'll see that if you have a problem, just DM me, and I'll go ahead and send you a link directly to Patreon, and then follow me on YouTube. It's when you go for my link tree, it'll drop and you'll see YouTube link, and go ahead and sign up. And honestly, just search me. It's Sacred Intimacy Tarot on YouTube. And all my lives I post up there. So the live I did yesterday on, women becoming men, or women who are men, was there. And I thought it was an important life, because men are, like I said, men have been saying to me, well, I don't understand. I want traditional women. I want women that are like men. Well, I mean, so do I. I want to be a woman. Hello. I want to wear my gladiator sandals and tan legs, and wear a skirt at the knee, and whatever, right? And walk down the street unfucking molested by attention or whatever. But I have to be a man, because men are fucking creepy. Period. And I started realizing that at the age of 8. Don't you think that's alarming? That at 8 years old, I started getting attention. And it's not started realizing that at the age of 8. Don't you think that's alarming? That at 8 years old, I started getting attention. And it's not oh, you're so beautiful. No, it has nothing to do. I was 8. There are girls that have gangly legs that are like, they're definitely 8 years old, and they're getting that attention. It has nothing to do with looks or your body's so mature. It has nothing to do with that. I can talk to damn near all the women around me, and they've all had that experience. All of them. And it started in their memory, 8, 9, 10, 11. Why? There are young boys now that are 13, 14 years old going up to show me your, show me your TITS. You know what I'm saying? 13-year-old boys. Where are they fucking learning this red pill, pill behavior? Why is Andrew Tate mentoring young men? To be honest, there's some things he said about what's happening on the planet. Straight up, he's not a dumb man. He's very smart. But he's a misogynist, and he's a sadist. Hello? You can be a sadist and a misogynist and still have some brains to say some things that are relevant about the world. See, the problem is, people need to understand, we're not black and white. We are gray. We have shadows. There are things in me that eventually you'll discover when I write my book, right? On my twin flame journey into Twin Ray, right? You're not going to like me, because I'm not walking on water. I am not fully 100% healed. I am on a healing journey. And the difference between me and probably other people in the self-help healing journey is that I try to be as fucking transparent as possible, to keep myself humble, and to stop, to make sure I'm not going to fucking, like raise myself on a pedestal. Like, no, I've got shit I got to work on before I die. There's shit I still have to work on. But that doesn't mean I'm not smart and I don't have some fucking good ideas and good things to share. Similarly, so is, for example, Candace Owens. I mean, it's making me laugh. I laugh at some of the comments. People are going, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm literally agreeing with Tucker Carlson. Yes, you can agree with him being his pro-Palestinian stance. And all the rest, you don't agree with him. You're like, I don't agree in his Republican ideas. I don't agree in his Christian fascist kind of ideas. I don't agree, of course. But the one thing you guys all agree on is he's pro-Palestine. Well, fuck, he's saying some really smart things about that. Well, we have to stop thinking that we have to agree with someone on every aspect to follow them. I follow a lot of people who half the shit I don't agree at all. Not at all. So there's some things I'll pass, like a live they do or a talk they do, I won't listen to, because, oh yeah, no, we're not doing that one. Like pro-life, for example. I'm pro-life, but I'm not pro-life the way they fucking are pro-life. Let's put it that way. What does that mean? It means I think if a child is 9 years old and is pregnant, she should have a termination. Hello. I think if a woman is having a miscarriage, she shouldn't be terrified of going to ER. What a concept. I just saw a video of a woman, a young blonde woman in her 20s. I probably reposted it, late 20s, early 30s, who has been bleeding, is having a miscarriage, and it's on her third day. Do you know how dangerous that is? Toxic shock. She can actually die. Die. This is what we've created in this country. This is what happens when we allow misogynistic men to create a template, and we have women who are also misogynist. They don't like women. They don't. People keep saying Handmaid's Tale, Handmaid's Tale. Who are the women who are leading the way, the charge towards subjugating women to become breeding cattle? Women with men. Women with men. Remember, the breeders were red, and the sick fuck women were blue. Remember? Okay, well, women with men, and that's exactly what's going on in this country. We've got massively toxic women who are misogynists. Yeah, I know that's a weird concept. I agree. So we as women, to lay out the plan, the mandala of the new template of 5D, right? We have to call them out. And we're going to have to take the gloves off. We're going to have to take the gloves off. And that means, yeah, we're going to fucking hit below the belt. We better. You think I'm going to play, oh, kumbaya, let's meditate. And do you have the copal incense? I'll go, oh, fabulous. Would you like some chai? No, we're going to fucking talk. We're going to say the truth. It's going to be raw, and sometimes terribly raw, until it shakes people awake. The calcification of their brainwashing starts imploding like a tower moment. And the awakening emerges, and we're there to, at that point, would you like some chai? I know you're having a fucking nervous breakdown. Break down, break through. Break down, break through. Some people will have breakdowns. Because what's about to happen with the awakening is that you either awaken or you will not survive 5D. You will not be a match. You're not coming. And it's not an elite thing. It's not an elite thing. What did I tell you? Remember I told you the story of Lilith? Lilith and Michael. I'm using the word, name Michael for her beloved. He couldn't come down to her. He couldn't do more than like 30 minutes. Maybe an hour. The frequency dissonance is a real thing. That's why some of you who are in a high frequency energy walk into certain public spaces, and you can't actually. You've got to leave. You're feeling sick. You're getting migraine. You're like, I'm overwhelmed. Public spaces, and you can't actually. You've got to leave. You're feeling sick. You're getting migraine. You're like, I'm overwhelmed. Like I gotta go. Like I can't be here. Well, it's only a circus. It's a fair. It's a family picnic. It's and you're like, no, I can't. I'm getting cross-eyed. I can't. I gotta go. It's because it's a frequency mismatch. You can't. It's not a match. So my point to you is that people will have a breakdown. They're going to have breakdowns, and we are here to help them or not. It's up to them. We're not going to force ourselves on them. That's for sure. All right, my son, my loves. Anything else? Oh, thank you, my love. You follow me on YouTube. Fantastic. Yeah, follow me on Patreon. There's a free area there. And much love to you all. I'm going to call it a day. So glad you were here. Please, there is the video that you're looking for is the video. It looks like a geisha. So, and then this would be a perfect complement to this video here. And I would suggest you listen to that with your masculine friends, lovers, brothers, fathers, uncles, and what have you. I don't care if they're gay, straight, polyamorous, bisexual. I don't give a shit. Men need to listen to this because it's time. Sending you much love on your journey. Namaste.